Good evening, everyone. I am Melarion, and welcome back to Kaiserreich. Today I am going to be making a guide of how to turn Greece socialist. We're going to explore every path that Greece can take to become a socialist country, meaning take one of the three socialist ideologies, and it must not be a path that the Greece goes through a civil war, mostly because the Greek civil war is kind of lackluster and it's totally fun. So this is Greece in 1936. It's a very interesting, different scenario than the normal scenario of the normal timeline, as Greece has lost the third Balkan War, meaning the first World War, aka the First World War, and has conceded Macedonia, Macedonia to Bulgaria, except for Thessaloniki. Now, the two main events, the two main problems that Greece has is that after a big instability phase, it has a republican government, so they have ousted their king, but there's still memories of the king, or there's still a big part of Greece that wants the king back. So it has a divided people. At the same time, there is a conflict brewing in the Balkans. There is a move towards a war with Bulgaria, the formation of a Belgrade Pact. For one who has played the game, knows that usually Serbia, Romania, Greece, and sometimes from either side, the Ottomans or Albania, join a war against Bulgaria. Now, so Greece has external enemies and internal enemies. At the same time, Greece is a very interesting country, as it can actually pass through every single ideology in the game, I think. But we are going to be focusing on turning Greece socialist in this playthrough, or in this guide actually. So let's get started. Let me pull out my chart. So to better explain the path Greece can take to become socialist, I have created this flowchart, which you can also find in the description of the video. Now, this is in the first part of the video. I'm going to explain and go through the actual events in the chart to become a socialist country. In the second part, I'm going to be proposing my favorite path for Greece syndicalism. So let's start. There are two main events that actually determine how you can become an actual syndicalist country, and for that matter any ideology in Greece. First of all, the Third Balkan War. If you are victorious or you are defeated in this conflict, you are going to have a different path, a semi-different path to socialism. And the second main event is the monarchist referendum. After the Third Balkan War, or if you don't participate in the war, the stabilization of Greece, if you're playing the game, it's going to be the end of the Balkan War. There's going to be the monarchist referendum, which is going to determine if Greece continues to be a republic or if it's going to become a kingdom. So let's go through the flowchart, and then we're going to see the main event for Greece in game. Now, the first thing first, if you are defeated in the Balkan War, you can follow this line to the government, which is going to collapse. Now, in the event of a collapsed government, you have many different options. I think there's 4 of them. Actually, it's either 3 or 4. The one we actually care is either Velouchiotis coup the government, which is going to really lead straight up to a syndicalist victory. So you are defeated in the Balkan War, the government collapses, Velouchiotis and the totalists coup the government, and you become syndicalist. Next, you can have elections. So if you are going to through an election into a monarchist, a new elections, the government collapses, so you have a new election, and we're going to a monarchist referendum. Now, you are reaching the same place that you're going to be going if you are victorious into the Third Balkan War. So you're going to reach the monarchist referendum. This is the most important and more complicated part of the Greek path to socialism. So there are technically 4 different paths for the monarchist referendum. Now, for different results, more or less, which is it's determined by the monarchy sympathizer mechanic in game, which I'm going to be explaining in a short while when we actually get to the events. Now, the most straightforward is a Republican victory. So if there is a fair and square referendum, the Republicans are victorious, or it's a rigged referendum and it's not discovered, and the Republicans are victorious. So after the Republicans are victorious, if you allow socialists to participate in the elections, you can elect the Keke and become syndicalist under Zachariadis. That's the most straightforward path. There is a problem with this path, which I'm going to be explaining in a little bit. The second path is a monarchist victory. If you have a monarchist victory, either through a undiscovered rigged referendum or straight up monarchist victory, you're going to become have the kingdom elections, and the agrarians, you can allow the agrarians to participate and become radical socialists. Worth noting, you can jump from syndicalist to totalist through the first Hellenic Congress, the event as the syndicalists, but you cannot actually change out of radical socialists. You're not going to have any subsequent elections after the agrarian victory for some reason. The third path is a two-way. They're going to have monarchies rigged the referendum, and you're going to have the questions. Either the rigged is discovered, or the rigged is not discovered, it's hidden. If the rigged is discovered, then you're going to have a syndicalist coup, and you're going to turn syndicalist like you did if the government collapsed. Now, if the rigged is not discovered, you're going to have into the normal path of monarchist victory and the agrarians. So pretty much, if you side or you are like the part of the Republicans in the monarchist referendum, you can easily become actual syndicalist. Now let's jump into the game and see the events leading to this flowchart. So let's have a quick rundown of the starting situation as we go through the events. First of all, Greece starts as social liberals under George Papandreou and has 4 actual national spirits, 3 of which are the actually important lore-wise. The Memories of the King, which we discussed previously, and 2 owned industry. So you have a German-owned industry and Austrian-owned industry, which is pretty much the control of Greek industry through foreign powers, mostly the Germans and the Austrians. And you're gonna be dealing with these 2 first as Black Monday hits. So let me jump to the first event, and I'm going to continue the guide. So as the Greece is hit by Black Monday, you're going to have 2 main problems. The actual effects of Black Monday, which is going to cripple your industry as it is connected to the Germans and Austrians, and a new farming crisis as the grain imports shut down and Greece cannot actually sustain itself. So after, in the part of the focus that we deal with Black Monday, the first thing we're going to deal with is the farming crisis. So let me just pass a day so the actual event is hits us. So in responding to the crisis, so you have two choices here, and I'm going to go through the first 2 events of the Black Monday as they are important to the actual referendum. You can help as much as we can, which is going to increase the monarchy sympathizers, or you can give everything you have, as I say, dig deep, which is going to improve your stability. It's going to cost you a lot of political power and decrease monarchist sympathizers by a little bit. What I recommend, I'm going to recommend steps to use this in the second part for my favorite guide. It doesn't really matter what you choose. I'm going to explain how these modifiers work into the referendum guide. So we're going to go with help them much as we can. Now, the second is dealing with foreign own interests. So we're going to start this focus, and I'm going to be back once it finishes. And we are back. In a day, the focus is going to finish. So, foreign own industry. How are you going to deal with the actual foreign ownership of your industry, of course? So, you can seize them all, no matter the repercussions, which is gonna remove your Austrian German own industry, but you have about, I think, a 60% chance, a bit lower actually, about 40% chance of them putting sanctions on you. Generally, sanctions are not that bad, and I don't think, and I would actually choose, if you're going to try to stand syndicalist, I would choose this focus, this option. The secondary, you partially seize some assets, but they still have a chance to sanction you, but it's only diplomatic one. You don't really care. You're not going to be allying with Austria or Germany. And then you can subsidize them, which is going to cost you a lot of political power, going to increase the monarch sympathizers, and what it's actually going to do is going to pretty much change from actual, just turn them in their heads. So I'm going to be recommending seizing them if you're going to go syndicalist. That's what we're going to do. Now, after you have finished with the Black Monday focuses, the first Black Monday focus, you're going to have a choice between privatizing government holdings or national and vital companies. I am going to suggest you go through privatizing, as it's going to decrease sympathizers. It's going to help some other the market liberals and social liberals, but it's going to give you political power, and in the end it's going to replace 2 of your military factories with a civilian one. You want to take this focus around before the war, a little bit before the war starts, so you're not going to waste any production before the war. So you are going to go through these and into privatizing holdings and nationalize vital and converting military factories. You can go for the other option. It doesn't really make any difference in the long run. It's just a bit of a difference in the choices in your referendum. I'm going to explain it later. So now, after that, you can see we are actually into 1937, and it's going to be when Serbia, around the time that Serbia does the focus to form the Congress, form the Belgrade Pact. You're going to accept this. You're going to become part of the Belgrade Pact against Bulgaria. You're going to be hoping that Romania accepts also, as it is pretty important for the victory in the actual Balkan War. Now, after that, you're going to have a bit about one focus before Serbia sends the ultimatum to Bulgaria and the Balkan War starts. I'm going to jump now to the beginning of the war, and we're talking about strategies, not about winning the war, because this is up to your playthrough, of how I think what is actually the center of your target if you're going for the different paths. So, as we are back, Serbia is ready to send the ultimatum to Bulgaria. Bulgaria is not going to accept the ultimatum, and you are going to have some important targets as the war begins. First of all, if you win the war, you're going to get West Salonika and Eastern Salonika. If the Ottomans intervene on in attack, actually the Ottomans have the choice. They can actually get West Thrace and this place, Kadbanzali, as a payment from the Bulgarians, so they don't attack. So you're going to lose your claim here, and you have to fight the Ottomans for it. You don't really want to do that, but actually the Ottomans attacking is going to be helpful, not just taking the land, attacking. Also, keep in mind, Albania could join in with the Bulgarians. This is actually what happened in my playthrough, but it's not really hard to actually deal with them. They have only like 1 or 2 units, so it's just free real estate. Now, the most important part of your targets in the war. If you can see here that the next election is going to be January 1938, in the end of this, in the beginning of the next year. If you want to have elections as your way to turn into socialists, you must finish the war in time to complete the 70-day focus of the referendum of on the monarchy, which means the election is going to be in about the end of January. So by the end of October, you have to finish the war. The war is going to start in September, in actually 2 days, the 1st or the 2nd of September. Now, I don't think getting elected as a socialist is the best path, and I'm going to explain why at the election event. But if you want to do that, you have the very difficult task of finishing the war in about 2 months. I have done it. I must admit it didn't happen in the first try. So what I'm going to suggest is actually what I haven't done here, setting some support between the formation of the pact, some support from here. If you have an extra unit, I could have an extra unit to the actual Romanian front, so you grab Varna. Bulgaria is going to capitulate or have a scripted peace deal once it has lost 70% of its victory points. You cannot actually achieve that with just these. Romania must do its part, and Romania tends not to do its part. So you probably should send someone to break through the river and grab these points as you push towards Sofia. Pretty much this area and Varna you could defeat. It's gonna be about 70%. They're going to capitulate. If you're lucky, it's gonna be on time for the referendum and the 1938 elections. Alright, let's jump now to where I have defeated Bulgaria in time, and this is Greece after the third Weltkrieg. In my playthrough, we actually had the Ottomans not intervene in the war in any side, but Albania intervened against me, and I puppeted them, getting northern Cyprus. Now, you can keep it because it has small populations. It is important to see that the time is October 1937. We are just in time for the referendum. We have started it. Actually, I forgot to save at the exact end of the war, and I wasn't going to go through this war again. It is pretty difficult to be victorious before the actual time. Now, during this event, as this focus, you're gonna have some events around your actual how you deal with a referendum campaign. I am going to skip to the last event of almost the last event of the referendum, because it isn't really important how you pick the actual choices. If you want to, I'm going to have in the second part my picks for the specific, the optimal for me at least solution to turn syndicalist by any actual means. But we are right now in the actual referendum campaign. We have been victorious, so we're in the right path of the focus of the flowchart we showed earlier. So let's jump into the actual referendum, not result, pre-results, exit poll, someone will say. Alright, before the referendum actually takes place, you're gonna have this event which is going to say who has the advantage, or if someone has it locked down, or if it's exactly in the middle. Now, what you don't want to happen is be exactly in the middle. So I suggest making a save just before the actual starting of the referendum, so you can experiment. I'm going to give you a rundown a bit of the points. If you are exactly in the middle, or too far towards the Republicans or the monarchists, you're not gonna have any choice, and you're gonna be locked out in the path either to the Republican victory and election of Syndicalists, or the monarchist victory and election of the Radical Socialists, the agrarians, which are acceptable paths, but we're gonna be missing the coup part. So right now we have, in order to understand how the Republican referendum works, you have to keep in mind there is an actual sort of point system when the game says it's gonna favor the monarchies or not. So you're gonna be getting some from Black Monday, some from the Framing Crisis, some from Foreign Zone Own Sincerity, and depending on your choice, here or here. The ones I have the actual choices, what you want is not to end up in the middle, so be careful a bit, but this can change almost in the last choice, so don't stress about it. So we have three options here. We are either going to be rigging the referendum towards monarchy, rigging towards republicanism, or let the legitimate result stand. Now, the first thing we're going to explore is going to be a Republican victory. So I wouldn't suggest rigging it, because from what I'm going to show you, it's not really hard to when you can save in this game and just take the result you want at the referendum, and you're gonna get some debuffs on rigging it. The only thing you don't want to happen is the monarchist referendum going Republican and the rig being exposed. So we're gonna do nothing, and I'm going to jump into a Republican victory. So in 1 second. So the Republicans are victorious. Now, long live the Republic of Greece. You are going to have elections in about a month. So you can see you still have memories of the king, and that's a big problem you're going to be facing as the Republicans. If you still have memories of the king, you need to reach the remaining monarchists, and you're gonna have an event and you have the memories of the king removed. The problem is, if you turn socialists, either through actually if you elect syndicalist, you're not gonna get that far. It's going to be locked because for some reason, if a country elects socialists, it's not longer a republic. I'm guessing this focusing was made by an American. So you have a democratic elected government. You're going to have a democratic elected government, but you're not going to be able to remove the memories of the king. And you're going to have a minus 10 stability for the whole game. So let's let the time pass. We're going to bypass the victory, and we're going to be moving towards the election. So now there's a very important event. The left unites. Pretty much all the left parties unite under Zachariadis and Keke. So you can either ban them, which is going to be leading in a civil war, or you can allow them to stand. They cannot win anyway, and they get a small bump in ideology. As you can see at the moment, for example, the coalition of the three leftist parties, it's stronger than anyone else individually. So we're going to be waiting a bit to reach the actual what shall we call it, the actual election. Let me fix the sound a bit. Alright, they are going to be happening about the end of this month. Now you don't have enough time to reach down here because you're gonna need 100 days. I don't think you cannot really do that. If you choose to elect Syndicalist in this election, you're not gonna have any subsequent elections with a Syndicalist. I think just do something. Alright, so in about, I think, 10 days, I think it's 27th, the election is gonna take place. As you can see, I have sanctions. This is the hard sanctions from nationalizing the industries. Yeah, I was actually really unlucky to get both of them. And alright, the elections of 1938. So the Syndicalists have benefited from the coalition with moderate socialists and now present a real threat as Greek people going to the polls. The world watches nervously as the election results come in, and you can elect the socialist conservatives, the liberals again, and the market liberals, or the Socialist Workers' Party or Keke takes the election and you become Syndicalist. You're gonna be known as the Hellenic Socialist Republic. You have gonna have Nikos Zachariadis as your leader. Very interesting personality. It was the main leader of the Communist Party of Greece during the period of German occupation, German occupation. He was first in the Soviet Union, and then he moved to Greece as the situation evolved. A very sad figure, as Greece has a very interesting history with its Communist Party. The Communist Party, through EAM, the National Liberation Front, liberated the country pretty much from the Germans. But in a turn of events, under the guidance of Stalin, Zachariadis and Kukue, or the Communist Party, decided to give up their weapons and to participate into the Greek government. After a period of persecution, what it leads into pretty much the Greek civil war, and because the communists have given up their arms, and for many other factors, their defeat. Now, let's continue and you stop the history lesson and pass to the next important thing, the First Hellenic Congress. This is going to be bypassed, and we're going to go to the First Hellenic Congress. Let me jump into this event. So, this is the First Hellenic Congress, so the first trade union syndicalist congress, and you have pretty much two choices. You can either remain syndicalist with Zachariadis, or Ari Velouchiotis commands the room in the end. Now, it's a very interesting distinction, as Zachariadis is the syndicalist and is going to continue down the cooperation with the agrarians, and you're going to have subsequent elections for the, I think there are another 2 elections every 4 years, or you're going to go with Ari Velouchiotis and the totalists. Now, what the interesting part is, let me choose Aris Velouchiotis, this is going how you turn totalist. Aris Velouchiotis, a very colorful figure, as you can see here, the leader of the EAM, the actual one of the leaders of the EAM, one of the most famous Greek communists, who actually opposed the agreement with the Greek government of EAM giving their weapons. Interesting enough, here is represented as the more actual totalist part of the focusi. I don't really know if it actually represents the actual character of Aris Velouchiotis, as Aris Velouchiotis was pretty much defined or disagreed with the choice of Moscow to actually continue, and the Greek government support the Greek government that it was created by the victorious powers of the First World War. A very interesting lesson, perhaps for another time. Anyway, that's how you turn totalists, and this is actually how you can. This is the only way to turn totalist after the First Hellenic Congress. So now we are going to jump in what happens if you have a monarchist referendum and the monarchists win. So in this timeline, we have chosen to rig the referendum in order for the monarchists to be victorious. Now, it is very important. You can actually reach one of these conclusions without rigging the referendum if you favor the monarchists and they are victorious fair and square during the referendum. So you have 2 choices. The first choice is the rig is discovered and there is a syndicalist coup. The second choice is no evidence and uncovered and the protests died down. You're going to lose some political power and some stability. Now, this is a very interesting one. If you turn monarchist as opposed to Republican, the event, the actual focus to remove the memories of the king is actually the first focus and only 21-day focus. So it is possible, while you have this event popped up, or if you just have, if you're going to go radical socialist, you just have the normal referendum and have monarchists win. It is possible to wait out the clock on this event, couple of days, and then make your choice. If you're going to choose no evidence in uncovered, then there is no problem. You're just gonna wait for the actual election and we're gonna be okay. Let me show you what's gonna happen. So I'm going to be choosing for this time to see how the coup works. It's actually very straightforward, just an event. So in 6 days, King Alexander is going to be coronated, or King George, it doesn't really matter. Both remove the actual memory of the king. And we have a syndicalist coup. It auto-selected it. So a worse fears have been realized. The attempt to rig the election in favor of the monarch has been discovered. Riots and we have given the government to Nikos Zachariadis. Now, let 1 day pass. We have 13 days to make the choice. And this is done. So, we are now a kingdom. We don't have the actual memory of the king, and we have King Alexander. And so ends democracy in Greece as the syndicalist coup takes power. You're going to lose stability, you're going to lose political power. And voila. Nikos Dechariadis is back in power. Now, you're gonna go through the same thing. It's pretty much the same thing after that, but you don't have the monarchy sympathizers national idea, which is very interesting. So if you go monarchist, you can actually remove the memories of the king, something that if Republicans were fair and square, you cannot do. Now, we are going to go back and we are going to see how we elect Radical Socialist as pretty much the last part of the victorious path on the third Balkan War. So, we have chosen to ignore the rigging. That's why I don't have any political power. And now we have the rise of the agrarians. It's pretty much the same thing as the actual monarchists, but I am going to choose. It's rather worrying. What pretty much means is the agrarians are going to be participating in the election. Now, what's very interesting, if the agrarians participate, I think there is I don't know, if they don't participate, if they're banned, I think there's a coalition between the Social Democrats and the Social Liberals. But we're gonna find out in about 20 days. Also, you have plenty of time for the king to be inaugurated, and you're gonna be able to remove the memories of the king, as for the last part. Oh yeah, social and liberal coalition. You have a social liberal and social democrat coalitions, which pretty much is you have the whole thing moving not really right towards the right wing. You have a kingdom one, so you have the coalition of the liberal parties and the social democrats against this movement. Let's just do something. And we're gonna have the elections in about 10 days. And as we can see, we're gonna be able to actually elect the Agrotiko Democratiko Metopo, or the rural Democratic Front, Agrarian Democratic Front. So the coalition of liberal, so you have the People's Party, Social Conservative, the Rural Democratic Front is victorious, or the coalition of liberal and moderate, which actually tells you are still going to be social liberal, but you're going to have some social democrats in the coalition. So the Rural Democratic Front is victorious. Kostas Gavrilidis is the actual leader of Greece. They're pretty popular. And you have unlocked this part of the focus tree, which is pretty much a bit shared with the Social Democrats. And this is all the parts on the victorious side of the of the third Balkan War, the fourth Balkan War. So now we're going to jump into a universe where we lost the war. Quite fitting for Kaiserreich. And this is the universe where we lost. Actually, I cheated, so we lose the previous part. So yeah, I wasn't going to just wait until the AI wins. But we have the actual expanded Bulgarians. We have lost Thessaloniki, we have lost Veria, Serbia has lost Nice. I don't think Romania has lost anything. I think they have just turned into a kingdom. If they lose, they just turn into a kingdom. So, are they inevitable? Apparently they are. Now, after a few days within the game, I'm not going to do any focuses right now. This is going to unlock, but that's not really important. We're not going to work around that. After a few focuses, actually I'm just going to jump the event. I have a save. Now, after the lost and some riot in the streets and Bura, the defeated people pretty much force the government to the government collapses, and you have three choices. You can either go with Ioannis Metaxas takes power, and pretty much you become I think it's Teok, and you unlock the national populist / Patrian Lottocat part, or you can go with Aris Velouchiotis just controlling a coup and pretty much be thrown into an actual pretty much go to the point where you have still elected the Syndicalist, actually the Syndicalist, even if so Aris Velouchiotis, here. So, and if you go through the government steps down promising immediate elections, you're going to have an immediate election, which is because you're not going to have enough time to finish the actual referendum for the monarchy. It's just going to be a normal election. If I press it, you can see that you're going to have. So you're going to have the People's Party, Victorious Labour Party, National Union Party, or the EEC, the Socialist Democrats. So if you chose the Social Democrats, you're actually going to have another election in 2 months, because the game doesn't update, and you don't have the unlock the Social Democrats. Now, these are all pretty much all and you're gonna finish the referendum, and you're gonna have the normal referendum choices here. So it's just an extra choice to actually coup the government before the referendum happens, but it still suffers for the problem of the memory of the king. Now, these are let me jump back to my chart to finish up this part of the video. So we have explored all the different paths of the actual Balkan, the Greek path to socialism. It's pretty interesting. Greece has many paths which are similar. Pretty much they're in two categories: either victorious, the victory in the Balkan War determines the actual easiest path, but you have the actual monarchist path to socialism, Hoi4 theory confirmed, which you're going to turn monarchist, or try to turn monarchist and have them cooped into syndicalism. The Republican path to socialism, which pretty much either you, as a republic, are defeated and you have a Velouchiotis coup, or as the you have the monarchist referendum and the Republicans are victorious either way, and you win through elections. Now, I'm going to. This is the end of the first part of the video, pretty much the big part, which is the complete path. In the last part, for anyone who's interested, I'm going to explain my favorite solution on how to turn Greece into a syndicalist country. So I'll be right back. Alright, so for my path for a syndicalist Greece, and my recommendation to you for the actual path, not exactly how you're going to set up your unit, that's your job, that's your game to play. So, a very important target for me is to have the monarchist rig the referendum in and the rig to be discovered, because you're going to be able to actually remove memory of the king, which is very important. We're gonna be losing some stability through the coup, but it's actually better to lose stability and just get it back through the normal growth than to have -10 the whole game. So what you want to do, I'm going to go through the events of the opening events and the actual and we're gonna play the referendum campaign. So you want to be as close to pretty much spend as little of resources into favorite any side in this referendum, but you don't want to end up completely in the middle or completely on the other ends. It's gonna be very difficult for you to become to end to the Republican side. Actually, to end up in the Republican side, you need to have the elections and elect Social Democrats. But that's a story not very interested, because then you push becoming Syndicalist to 1942, which is pretty much outside the scope of the main game, or it's in the fringes. Now, sorry, 1 second. My voice is killing me. So, what you're going to do in the farming crisis event, you are going to choose to just help them. Do not give all of your everything, so to have the political power. Just help them a bit. In this playthrough, I accidentally clicked give everything, so I'm going to be making one different choice during the referendum. But if you choose the first option, the small loans, you are going to be set. During the foreign and own industry, I still believe that choosing to actually to actually naturalize every asset of Germany in Austria is the best choice. You have a small chance to be sanctioned, but this is going to end up in 39, and you could actually avoid both of them. And the actual benefits are quite big. Now, for me, you're gonna go down the right path, privatizing government holdings. So, because it's actually better for the political power and for the actual buffs it gives you, and because you are going to be doing that just before the war ends. You're gonna be just before the actual war. You are actually going to be head starting your economy after you have passed a big part of the campaign building military factories. So this is the path you're gonna take. So let's go through the events of the referendum. Sorry, the button to mute is the button to open air. So, what you're going to do in the first event, the monarchists in the streets, you're going to let them do whatever they want. So you're trying to balance it so you don't end up exactly in the middle or too much on the sides, as I told you. But you don't want to spend a lot of political power, as you're going to lose a bunch because of the coup. These are going to be ending in 39, so don't worry about that. And after you finish these two focuses, I'm probably going to be finishing off Black Monday. This is actually a very good playthrough of Greece. Oh yes, the Republican campaign. Now, I am going to choose the Republican campaign. I'm going to support it because I don't have made the wrong choice in the farming crisis. If you make the choice the first choice, you don't have to do you don't have to support the Republican campaign. So for you, you're gonna choose the middle option. For me, it's going to be the top. Market liberals in Bulgaria, great. It's actually, the referendum is actually a bit modular, and it depends how well the game goes. Oh, the faction had disbanded. How great. Last time they joined Russia. This time not, apparently. Oh no, they have joined Russia. And aristocratic lobbying. We're going to allow the aristocrats to lobby for the restoration of the monarchy. Alright, let's join the Russian sphere. It's not really important on this playthrough. Romania hasn't joined? No, it has. So Russia has expanded in the Balkans. And we're going to join too. Which is going to be a good defense against actual... No, I'm not going to join your war. Against Austria, actually. So, now we are waiting for the last days to show you my path. Syndicalist rally. Of course we're going to allow a syndicalist rally. Is our guy, is going to improve our popularity. Pretty much perfect. I think there are one more event and then the actual question about rigging. Greece is a pretty interesting country if you actually set the code. It pretty much has many paths to reach everywhere. Even the coups are like, I think it's 2 or 3 different places that can happen. It's, we have the monarchist riots. If you are leaning too much towards the Republicans, you're gonna have the Republican riots. It's a bit, where are you leaning? Now, I could keep it contained, or I could shut it down in extreme pages. I'm going to shut it down in extreme pages because it depletes social liberal support is going to grow the syndicalist, and because they don't really need to spend any power supporting the monarchists. We are actually set for the actual referendum, and the pretty much the last part is going to be having this. So I think about in the 69. Alright, now it is now we have the question. The Balckan had the advantage, so we're not perfectly in the middle. I think we are +1 towards the Republic, or +2. I think +1. So we are going to choose, we need to rig the outcome in favor of the monarchy, because we want to elect a king. It's not really important what king you elect. I'm going to go with Alexander just for the role-playing purposes. Actually, it's probably better if you go with King George, which is the authoritarian democrat. Of course it's rigged. This is authoritarian democrat. Actually, Greece might not be able to turn, but no, I think no, you can turn paternal autocrat through here, right? Yes, I think this on here. Sorry, yeah, this is paternal autocrat, so you can turn everything. Now, this is gonna bypass in a day. We're actually waiting for the results. Actually, monarchist victory. This is gonna bypass next day. And we're going with King George in 21 days. Sorry. So we want to finish this before the rigging is discovered. So the rig is suspected. Ring suspected. We have like 10 days for it. And you can just leave it to expire. It's not really important, because it's gonna pick the first choice, but it's not really. So we're going to, now we are almost there. We're gonna pick the Syndicalist coup, and now we have the Syndicalist coup. It's going to happen in 12 days. This is gonna be done in 5. So we have seen this event before. And as we reach the end and the coronation of King George and the monarchy sympathizers, we're gonna have the rise of the agrarians. Actually, yeah, these events coincide very easily. Okay, let's get some radical socialists. So this is gonna be if we had accepted the actual results. So ends democracy in Greece once again. We have King George, and now we have Nicola Zachariadis, and we don't have the actual debuff of the king. So, this has been our first guide into the paths of a country. It's not a complete guide in Greece. You pretty much go through everything actually through this, the actual elections, just not all the parties. So I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, leave a comment, any suggestion for a future guide you want to see. We are going to continue with our playthroughs and let's plays, but I want to try this format as it's something that really interests me in this mod, the different paths any country can take. Now, because as you can hear, my voice is dying. Have a nice day. Please subscribe, hit the bell icon, leave a comment, leave a like. It's a new channel. I'm happy to help you in anything you want in this game. Have fun.